This one has some animation, so you have to keep clicking.
Oh.
So that would be the visitor center. Next one would be the museum or whomever we get with us. In the middle would be the coffee shop. You can just go ahead and do a couple clicks here. So these would be the rental offices upstairs. Once again, this is not to scale. This is just my idea. Cubes. And then the last story would be the community rooms. And then that'd be our community center. So that's my vision and that's my goal. So you got a little bit of my goals for 2020 and how we're going to get more people into Woodland, and then as well as my vision. So.
Where's that? Yes, well done, thank you. Well, very good. I'm a little jealous you did animations. I didn't do anything. I'll have to up my game next time. Where did you folks talk about a location for the other ones? It looks like were pre-existing, but for building C, did you?
Nope, it's a pipe dream. We haven't
Okay.
come up with that.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr.
You
President.
mentioned several times, I just want to be clear, you mentioned this is your vision. I want to make sure that you're, is that what?
It is. I just want to make sure that people don't think it's, how do you say this? Yes, it is our board.
Okay, yes. Just want to clarify that. You said it a few times, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Any other questions? Did you guys talk about funding, or is that Mrs. Johnson kind of gave a brief discussion at the beginning of
She did our
options and
funding.
reach outs that
Correct.
you can call upon? Okay, perfect. Get Mr. Welch's question and ask it.
Mr. Welch.
This idea of a tourist having to be from outside of the 50-mile radius,
That's what they technically, if you look up like the definition
what's
sense.
the significance of that when we all know those?
Hotel motel.
Laws.
Oh.
When you're trying to get money from the hotel motel.
So usually if you're within
it's
50
like
miles
you
of
have to
driving.
advertise 50 miles out and
Okay.
yeah.
And the reason I show that is a lot of people would go, okay, 50 miles, but if you look at it, that's Chehalis.
Yeah.
And pretty far south past Portland. So, I mean, it's,
I mean, a great bulk of our business, small as it may be, is out of the Portland area.
yeah. So technically not
And they're
tourism.
paying taxes.
Are we going to allow everyone to?
We're going to have to now.
I'm sort of. I thought if that rule was different if you bordered another state. I
Oh.
thought it didn't have to be 50 miles.
As far as I understood, it has to be 50 miles.
That's a great question for
That
the
is
next
a
meeting.
great question.
Thank you for that. I've never heard that.
Either am I. Yes, shoot.
I'm gonna look into that.
You're not tracking demographics from just visitors. You're watching.
So we do ask, so we have a sign-in book. The way it works is if they want to sign in, it does ask, like, are you asking like what state they're from and stuff? You're asking like more actual demographics, like age and stuff?
An age range.
Yeah.
Because going back to what you said earlier about the generation that we're currently in, is a generation that
they'll Google something, and versus making a stop in. A lot of people, maybe it's uncomfortable because they don't want to talk to anybody, they just want to find out their own information and go.
Yeah.
So that I'm making a wild assumption that there has to be a decrease in the number of visitors simply because technology is better.
What I've heard is there's a mix. There's also people don't know it exists. They don't know we are our building and what we do. And so that's something, a part of my social media I'm trying to increase and get people to know that we exist and to come and stop. Because if you don't have an online presence, they don't know to come.
Right.
Because when they do go to Google or wherever they're at, they're not going to find us. And if they can find us and they do know to stop there, they will. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You know, you want to make sure you're putting out information so they can find it and find you, but you put out so much information they don't come physically see you.
You sell the Discover passes there?
Discover passes and the Forest passes, and I think I'm going to add the Snow Park passes. We currently do not carry those.
And those are all currently items that you can purchase online?
Online, I believe you can do the Discover Pass, yes, but we
So-
we physically have them.
So you would definitely be able to help someone who didn't plan ahead on a whim, wants
Happens
to go.
often.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay.
Or they didn't know they needed them. Like
Right.
they'll drive up the road and then they'll literally drive 40 miles away or 40 minutes away and then have to come all the way back down because they don't want to get a ticket.
Is there a service fee that you guys collect on that? Do you make any money off of those?
We do collect a $2 service fee, which
Okay.
is basic. You go to Walmart, any of them, they do the $2 as well.
And what's that money go towards? Does that just go towards operations or?
Operations.
Okay, like a general fund item? Okay.
May I comment to Mr. President? My background is, I used to be a CFO of an internet company, so I'm about as internet-y as it gets. And I do a lot of RV traveling as well. And so I do a lot of Google. I'm Mr. Google. But when it actually comes down to it, you have to actually go see somebody face to face, because you can never really get what's going on until you actually talk to somebody. And I found that in a lot of cities, a lot of places. So
The insider knowledge.
I totally understand, yeah, we are more of a thumb, clicky, but when you actually get to that new city and you have no idea what's going on, seeing a face kind of clears a lot of things up quickly.
So we gotta make sure everyone knows we're here.
Mr. Boyce, can you go back to slide 4, please? My eyes are, I'm gonna bring my glasses so I can't see the numbers.
I'm trying to save paper.
No, I know. Going to the visitor, that one right there. So, judging by, when did you start counting accurately?
My understanding was about 2016.
Can't you just divide that by 3?
I was just gonna say, so, that's what I was getting, so if you said 2016.
It was my understanding, but I don't have for sure.
So,
About the right time.
About the right
That's
time?
what they were telling me.
Is it multiplied by 3 or added 3?
Something that all visitor centers
We're doing.
were doing.
It was a normal thing.
It was throughout the state, and we were one of the ones that
Stopped
wanted to get that changed, because we wanted the more accurate.
are the other ones still counting by 3?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Does this play into your grant or funding when we're asking from the state? Do they ask for this information to say how many people are you getting in the door?
Yeah, and what they really like is we have 20 or 30 different countries, outside besides the States. And so I think that they don't ask so much for the count, is kind of where. Like we got Germany, Norway, we have just a whole bunch, and actually those tourists really do want to talk to someone face to face.
And they love saying the book.
So I'm just looking, if we were to time, actually you've had an upswing in visitors if we were going to time, you had a downturn in 2019. But compared to 2015, okay.
On a 3-year comparative basis, by 2022, using the math, you're at 2,700 visitors.
That's if we don't turn things around.
Well, right. But then it goes back to that technology push. I just,
Yeah.
when I look at it.
I could, and that was the thing is why I was putting that. I hemmed and hawed for a moment of putting this in there, because I was like, they're going to literally see the slope going down. And then at the same time, I like to show, I like seeing numbers, because it's data.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see hard facts. And I hope to bring this back to you next year, and you're going to see it go boop, back up. And the reason I want to show it to you guys, it shows you a baseline, so when we do talk about it and we do start getting more people back in, you guys go, okay, yeah, I remember seeing where they're at, and now they are going up, so it is good. We do need to keep our funding. We do need to keep going up, and just one hand washes the other.
I personally, I don't have any, I've never had an issue, because I think the visitor center does a great service.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's more about what's the long-term vision for the facility, and what does that look like? Where is it at? How do we start looking at some of the facility options, which I'm really glad that we're taking a look at. But as far as the value that it brings, I think there's value there definitely. And so I want to be clear, my initial request for this information was not for me thinking that there's not value in this, because there's a tremendous amount of value. But when we start looking at long-range plans, and you've got a trailer that's, a lot of what we've done in Woodland for several years is, we'll go there, it's temporary, and 25 years later, we're still talking about it.
Yep.
And I think that's the concern, is our job up here is to make sure that we have a vision, 5, 10, 15, what does that look like? going forward and make sure that we're planning appropriately, and that's the main purpose of kind of my issue with the whole, what's our plan, what's our vision? So I appreciate the work that was done by both parties.
Okay. Any other questions for Mrs. Miller? Okay, thank you very much. We'll go back to my slide deck, Mr. Boyce. Mrs. Miller, did you have a size on your plan?
I do
No?
not.
Okay. Cruise on through. There. All right, so next steps. As I said in the beginning, there's a lot of information to take in. There's no decisions being made this evening. My hope is that this information will go back to both entities. We're going to have a workshop on it to discuss a path forward or possible other options. I forgot about, I think it was great that during your presentation, Mrs. Miller, about the Historical Society, I forgot about them. It'd be nice to bring them out forward and have them getting some foot traffic as well and some recognition for the work that they do. So good job. I totally forgot about them. So those types of things are items that council can discuss as well, or other entities that we can bring forward to help us with the plan. We will be having another meeting collectively, again, another one of these. After the workshop, we'll get together and decide what a good time is to meet, to come back together and discuss what both parties have, or both entities have discussed, and hopefully come up with a compromise or a path forward of what both sides want, and hopefully create that long-range plan. I know, Mrs. Johnson, you said it's going to be at least 5 years or so for DOT. I think it's going to take us a while, though, to get into a plan and move forward, so it'd be nice to have it ready to go when it's time, or even started. No, I know. I was agreeing with the statement that you made, that you said we do need to get a plan going, though. So hopefully we'll have that in the next meeting. Also at that next meeting, we'll be discussing the Lodging Tax Committee funding. I know that it doesn't sound like they need to reconvene. It's just a council action that would need to be taken to provide additional funding to Chamber of Commerce for operations. I believe council funded 6 months, and that other 6 months can just be released, it sounds like, with the swipe of a pen. So that can be discussed as well. I'm assuming that during the workshop, council will be discussing funding, and because there was a lot of information that came forward and what that looks like. Questions from anybody about the process or expectations? No?
It would be helpful to have answers to the.
Yeah, no, I've got them.
On Tuesday when we
Okay.
discuss.
Okay. Any questions from the chamber? Or comments? No? Okay. Well, with that, our next meeting, we'll talk about those outcomes and possible funding mechanisms moving forward if we want to get started with the tourism fee, or
Yes.
tourism promotional area fee, sorry. Yes, Mrs. Johnson.
One question. When is the next meeting that has to do with the funding of the budget?
Would you like to set that time now? We can set that time now.
Sure.
Okay. Let's look forward. Yeah. We'll talk about that Tuesday, but they're going to want to know. Yeah, we'll discuss it or you'll discuss it as a group. Let's see. What's this? Let me get my free calendar out. It would be the 21st. 22nd. So we're looking into February. Is there a time that works or does not work? Do you want to hold another workshop? Obviously, do you want to hold another workshop, or you just want to come to have a discussion at council? What's?
I think on the budget, we could just come to council. I mean,
Okay.
You know, I think if we're going to do more workshops, it'll be on what we're going to do on,
Okay, moving forward.
future plan. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then let's go ahead and set it on the calendar. Let me see. Gotta make sure we have enough time here. That's a meeting. Let's see. 1, 2. did Finance Committee talk about, when's the next Finance Committee meeting?
February 3rd.
February 3rd. Let's put it on that for February 3rd, and then on the council meeting for February 3rd as well. February 3rd.
Yep.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order from any side? Nope. Okay. All right, the time is 8:06, and that concludes the meeting. Thank you.
If it makes you feel any better.